Hello everybody, this is Lara at Elliott Wave Gold and Elliott Wave Stock Market with a quick update. I'm going to look at three cryptocurrencies for you today. I'm going to update my wave count and analysis for Ethereum, and then I'm going to look at Cardano and Hedera Hashgraph and do new wave counts for them, and I'll do that with you, and I'll go through my thinking of why I'm deciding to place the Elliott Wave labels where I am. First of all, this is Ethereum. This is one I'm interested in particularly because I bought some quite some time ago, so I want to see how it's doing. Let's update this Elliott Wave count. I just had a quick check with Yahoo Finance data, and it's made new highs today since this wave count was done. I think I want to make that, if we've got a new high after a really brief little pause, then I think I would want to label this brief pause sub-minute wave 4 and the new high that's unfolding today minute wave 3. Let's look at the big picture for Ethereum. So here it is from, I think from the beginning, August 2015, or as close enough as we need to for this analysis. It's got a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step forward, 1, 2, 3 step back pattern. That's your basic Elliott Wave pattern. That's one round completed, and it's made new highs above this previous point. So I personally won't be investing any more into this. At this stage, I'll just hang on to what I have, because if I'm going to be investing in cryptocurrencies, I'm going to want to invest in something that hasn't moved beyond that previous big high or is newer, because it can be held for a much longer time. And I'll explain why. This is the basic Elliott Wave pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Elliott Wave is fractal. This is one fractal labeled cycle wave 1. If you purchase within within wave 1 price territory of that basic 5 wave pattern, if I had bought something down here under $21, I could have held it throughout wave 3 and held on for wave 4 and obtained the profits from wave 5 as well. So that's a longer term investment. Now Ethereum has completed wave 1, 2, this is a fractal higher, and it's moving up through the middle of wave 3. If you had purchased anything below 1422.86, then theoretically, this is all theory, this is not trading advice, this is theory and what I'm doing for my own personal investment. If you had bought anything below this price point, you can hold on throughout wave 3. See the end of wave 3, you can hold on for a big correction of wave 4 to capture the profits of wave 5. And for commodities and cryptocurrencies, it's that fifth wave that often is the longest. This third wave in terms of price, now this is a semi-log scale, so the third wave looks the longest, but this tells you how long it was. It was 411.239 in terms of price from low to high, whereas the fifth wave was 1147.9. Nearly, not quite, but nearly 3 times the profit of the third wave. So that's why the fifth wave is the most valuable wave for these cryptocurrencies. They're not all the same, but they have a lot of similarities. Okay, let's do a quick update of this wave count. Now we're looking at the detail of the third wave. Here's cycle 1 on the daily chart, cycle 2, cycle 3. I have primary 1, 2. I'm looking for the end of primary 3. Primary 2 for Ethereum lasted 261 days. What's that in terms of weeks? Let's get some labels on here. Why have I not done that? Nope, pull that over because that's not done. So primary 2 lasted 37 weeks, less than a year. That's right for a primary degree wave, months. And so when primary 4 arrives, I'd expect it to be of a similar duration. Let's see what was the duration between 2 and 4 here. 2 was 25 weeks, 4 was 19 weeks. Around about, give or take a few weeks. Actually, possibly give or take quite a few weeks, but generally in proportion. That's what gives the wave count the right look. The proportion between the second and fourth waves within an impulse. That's something that took me a long time to figure out and really learn in a deep way, but there you are. I just gave that to you for free. I'm not going to update my data. I'm just going to leave that. I think that's looking good. I don't have a target. I do have a target for the end of cycle 3. It's extremely provisional, highly provisional. When we have primary waves 1, 2, 3 and 4 all complete within cycle 3, then I can add to the target calculation at primary degree, and then I'm going to start to try and narrow down a potential target. But for the end of this, I've got a set of technical analysis features that I'll be looking for to see if Ethereum's finally topped. I'm not going through that today. Okay, let's do new wave counts. This is Cardano. This is all the data I could get for it from Yahoo Finance. I know someone's pointed out there is a feed I could get into MotiveWave that would give me cryptocurrency data. I could do that. This is easy enough to import it from MotiveWave though, and I don't want to have a separate log on for cryptocurrencies. I want to have everything all in one place if I can. So that's why I'm not going to do that. Okay, let's start weekly. Well, this looks like a 1, 2, 3, and the question is going to be, is the 3 over? No, it can't be, because this is back in this price territory. So what's the high of this? I'm reading these numbers down here, down the bottom. This high is 1.3272, and this low is way over 0.935. So the third wave can't be over, because the following fourth wave may not move into first wave price territory. This correction has moved into this price territory back here, so this can't be 1, 2, 3, 4. It violates an Elliott wave rule. Let's pull an impulse over here, and I'm going to label this at cycle degree. Let's have the beginning of the wave count here. We'll have a 0 there. We'll have 1 here. Where's 2? Possibly not there. Okay, I'm just trying to find the low. Oh, there, okay. I'm going to make an assumption. I have to make an assumption for this market that just off to the left, it starts at a lower point than this down here. What's this? 0.01913. I'm not going to worry about the structure of the second wave. The key thing for this analysis is how far through the third wave is its structure. And I think I would want to put the first wave here and the second wave there. And now the question is the third wave complete? To check that out and check the subdivisions of waves 1 and 2, I'm going to have to go to a daily chart. I don't want volume messing this up. So I just created a new chart from the old one. The old one is weekly and this one is daily. And I have different charts in my MotiveWave platform for different time frames, because when you flip from one time frame to another, you see it doesn't quite put the labels exactly where you want it. And I like accuracy. Let's have a quick look at this first wave. I'm just going to do a cursory count. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Let's chuck some labels in there. I know this is really short, but I don't really want to see the first wave over up there, and I think this is a triangle. I want to see this over here. And the middle of the third wave's probably going to be something like that. Okay, that's fine. Am I viewing this? No, I need on a semi-log scale. Now let's see how far through the third wave may be. That's the key for this analysis. This has got a little bit of a rounded top look to it here. 1.6197. Oh yeah, it's going up. Okay, so whatever this correction is over here. Let's get some labels in here and then check subdivisions to see how far through this third wave may be. And no, I'm not going to put that up there, motive wave. Let's put that. I don't know, maybe I'm going to put it down here. I think I might need to move that. I tend to go for a series of overlapping first-in waves, winding up through the middle of a third wave. Where is that third wave? I think I might need that closer by, because this looks like the middle of a third wave, the steepest, strongest portion of the movement. No, I don't know if I'm going to put that up there yet. Let's see how many more first and second waves we can get in here. Why does it keep putting it up there? I just disagree with that strenuously, motive wave, but okay. This might be a combination. Or, oh, hang on. That's wrong. Oh, okay, that's better. Yeah. And so this now, oh yeah, that's better. Okay, I much prefer that proportion for an intermediate degree second wave. That's one of the nice features about motive wave. It tells me if I've got something wrong with those little alerts. Handy, so I don't have to slowly and carefully check every little price point. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good actually. This looks like a good impulse. I'm going to put this here, go away, and this is a flat correction. And then I think this might, I think this isn't going to work because the third wave would be the shortest. Oh no, it does work. Okay, here's another tendency of commodities and cryptocurrencies. The fifth wave of the middle of the third wave is the strongest, longest portion. This has got the steepest slope and it's really long. I have no problem with the duration of this second wave compared to this one, 2 degrees higher, or this one, 3 degrees higher. This is longer in duration. That's fine. This correction here took 35 days. In order to see the next correction at minor degree, I'd have to see minor 1 over here, and then it would look like a 3-wave structure, and minor 2 over here, and it wouldn't have a very good fit. Sometimes lower degree waves do take longer than higher degree waves when waves extend, because when waves extend, they do so in price and time. It's a really important thing to wrap your head around. When a wave extends in time, then the subdivisions within it extend in time. And so those subdivisions can take longer than subdivisions of a higher degree in a non-extended wave. I hope that makes sense. I hope I've explained that clearly. I think this fits here really well. I think this fits really well as well, but I want to put this down here. I'll leave that there, and then I think I want to put this here. And this is a flat correction, an expanded flat. Okay, so I think Cardano's moving toward the middle of intermediate 3, and then there'll be intermediate 4, which could last, well, this one last intermediate 2 lasted 35 weeks, so I don't know, sorry, 35 sessions, so I don't know, intermediate 4 could last a couple of months. Not there yet, still more upward movement to go. That's my conclusion for that one. Let's do one more wave count today together. Hedera Hashgraph. Okay. What have we got here? Weekly. This is quite new. This is not one I'm going to be looking at purchasing. Well, I'm not, it's under $1, so maybe I'll chuck a couple of $100 at it and just forget it for a few years, see what happens. I mean, not totally forget it. I'd keep an eye on it, but, you know, I'm not going to be micromanaging and looking at it every day. I was looking at some Warren Buffett quotes recently, and one of the things I found interesting that he stated, let's start this down here, was you should be, if you're going to, something like if you're going to buy something, you should only really buy it if you're prepared to hang on to it for something like 5 years, like long term. Look for the long term. Don't be in and out and all over the place. Hang on for the long term. So I thought that was interesting. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I am doing this right. So far it's working really well, so I'm going to make an assumption again with this one that just prior to launch, let's put the price of the very, very start down below here. And then let's pull this over here, because I think this looks like 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't know if this is a 4th. Okay, let's have a quick look and see what this is done. I think this 1.3125 hasn't made, no, it hasn't made a new high. It could be a primary degree 4th wave. So this one lasted 15 weeks. This one so far 7 weeks. Could be a triangle or a combination. Okay, the key is, can we see a complete 5-wave impulse for this 3rd wave? Well, I mean, have I got the start of it right down here? I tend to think so. You can't see all of the 1st wave. It's before it was launched, I guess. Otherwise, I could put the 1st wave here and start the wave count from down there. I just don't know how safe an assumption that is, and it makes a difference. I think the size and duration of this so far looks like a at least intermediate degree. Okay, I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to go, I think this is a little bit safer. Ignore this and start the wave count here at 1 cent and a bit. Let's do a daily chart of this and start to look at some detail. And let's get rid of this. So what I want to know is, on a semi-log scale, thank you, because now I can see it a little bit more clearly, is this 3rd wave possibly over? Or am I being premature putting that label there? I suspect I am being premature putting that label there. Let's get some labels in here. Oh, well, it depends on how this 1st wave subdivides. What is that? Is that a leading diagonal? I don't know. Let's try that. Well, that won't work, will it, motive wave? Why did you do that? .02805. Okay, so the 3rd wave is shorter than the 1st, and the 5th wave is shorter than the 3rd, and the 4th wave, you can't put that there, motive wave. So well, that's not going to work, is it? Nope. This. And then we have an expanded flat correction for the 2nd wave, and that's going to work. And that can go there. And then the B wave is some kind of multiple zigzag, possibly. or single zigzag, and the C wave actually looks pretty good as an impulse. I am not going to spend too much time on the structure of that B wave, or this video is going to be 8 years long and no one will watch it. Let's check this third wave out. Oh, okay, well that's interesting. What is this possible structure of this first wave? Could this be a leading diagonal? It could be. The wavelengths meet the rules for a leading expanding diagonal. Do the trend lines diverge? That's a rule. They have to. So I'm going to check that. And this is how I do it. It's anchored here and here. No, they converge. So, no, it doesn't work. Doesn't meet the rules. Could it be, oh, this looks better. A leading diagonal here. There's so much overlapping. Yes. Oh, yeah, they definitely diverge. What about this structure? I don't like that at all. The only other way this could be seen as... Well, I can't see 2 over here. It has to be here. That's the low. Could this be a combination? I mean... No, that's a double zigzag. Well, it does deepen the correction. Just the X wave moves beyond the start of W, which there's no rule that says it can't do that. It's just really unusual. Oh, I know. Oh, yeah, okay. What if I put this here? Oh, yeah. Okay, now that works. And now this is a double zigzag. Of some description. Nope. Well, it's a double combination, but it's got a slope, so that doesn't look very good. But it's better than what I had before. Okay, the rules are met. This definitely looks like a third wave. A lot of expanded flats in here. And I'm going to put this here. Yeah, happy with that. I'm going to put this here. Well, then we've got a fourth wave that lasted 4 days at intermediate degree and a third wave that lasted 213 days. Oh no, I don't think so. I can't do that. That's just too much difference. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. 3. Okay, if I do that, I have to do this as well. And now we're starting to... I mean... Yep, let's extend that. Now in terms of proportion, we've got 2 at 22 and 4 at 39. That isn't too bad. And we've got an extended third wave with a really strong fifth wave to end a third wave. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that there. So, going back to the weekly chart for this one, I don't know what happened to that. Okay. Well, okay, I'll create the weekly chart out of this later. Squish it up. Let's just flip to weekly. So I've got 1, 2, -2, and 3 is incomplete. Intermediate 3 is incomplete. -4 is completing. I think this is probably a double zigzag. Or I think B is an expanded flat here. That has a good fit. And then here, this looks like a complete zigzag. But I think the proportion between -4 and -2 for this one's okay. I would say it's reasonably likely -4 is over because it's already lasted a fair bit longer than -2. But I can already see an alternate idea. It could be this. Always consider expanded flats for your B waves. And look, this little, it could move lower to complete C. Minuet B could be an expanded flat. Is that an expanded flat? 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 3, 7. Yes, C has moved slightly beyond A. I wouldn't accept a running flat in there, but an expanded flat, yeah. So that's another possibility. But I think what's more likely is it's over. But it pays to consider different possibilities and be open-minded. Let's have a real quick look at some classic analysis, Cardano and then Hedera Hashgraph. So this is a weekly chart, and this is all the data that stock charts have for Cardano. I see what looks like a first wave, a second wave, and a third wave has moved beyond the end of the first wave, but it has to move far enough above there to allow a big fourth wave to unfold and remain above first wave price territory. So there's a long way up to go, would be my conclusion. This bear market for Cardano associated with really low volume, this is showing real strength, strong range, vertical slope, strong upward volume. How did it behave at the end? There's a long upper wick on this candlestick, which is bearish, and there really isn't. I mean, this could be considered dark cloud cover, but it's got a bullish long lower wick, and it's not a very strong bearish candlestick pattern, this red one here on the weekly chart. That would have been really hard to pick. RSI reached, or started out, because this is a lagging indicator, overbought here at the beginning, and we can't tell. All we've got back at the start is volume, and as price rose, volume declined. There wasn't a volume spike at the end either. That would have been really hard to find that high. What about this low? There's a strong bullish engulfing candlestick pattern here that could have fooled you and made you think that maybe the low was in. RSI didn't reach oversold. ADX was indicating a downward trend with plenty of room to go. What about here? Is there any bullish divergence? There is minuscule, really hard, but there was back here as well. But now here we get, it's on this week we get the low. Here, this point in RSI is slightly above this. That's so slight. I probably wouldn't have given that weight. An upward trend indicated for this portion, and then suddenly it sinks to new lows. Stochastics reaching oversold in the middle, but back here as well quite quickly, so stochastics wouldn't have helped. RSI barely would have helped. Volume, you know, it's here. This is when, this week here, that's when I would have said, okay, I think it's going to go on its way up, because we get an increase in range, a strong upward week with support from volume. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, volume is increasing for these upward weeks here. RSI reaches overbought. We get a high here, no bearish divergence. We get a relatively small pullback. I mean, it's all relative. These markets are extreme. It's showing an increase in volume that looks like a third wave. So this one, identifying an end to its trend, identifying a high, could actually be really tricky. That one's not going to be easy. What about this one? Probably even harder. Okay, this low, RSI's oversold, stochastics oversold, volume's light. A huge bearish upper wick on that weekly candlestick. There's just not enough data because it's too close to the beginning of its inception, and these indicators are lagging indicators necessarily because they're based on averages. So there's not enough data for this low to have been identified, and if I had seen this, I would have expected more downward movement from that. But now here we get a little curved bottom. It's not a V bottom. That's interesting. Most of these markets, these cryptocurrencies, form curved bottoms. It's the indices that like to do V bottoms. So we get a little curved bottom. Doesn't take very long though. And now this week we get a strong upward week, an increase in range, a good strong push from volume. 2 weeks in a row, strong range and push from volume. RSI doesn't reach overbought. We get a couple of bearish long upper candlestick wicks though, so that's a bit of a concern, and then it moves into the sideways range bound consolidation for many weeks, well, months actually, many months. And then here it's this week. This week it breaks out with a close above a consolidation zone on a week with a strong push from volume. And that's telling us, okay, it's broken out, there's strength, there's volume, there's range, it's going to continue up. There will be corrections and pullbacks on the way, but I would expect this one to keep going up. I think its eventual high, there's just not enough history to study this particular market to have an idea as to what it's going to exhibit at its eventual high. Would these technical indicators be useful? We can tell that RSI can be extreme for a long period of time. It reached extreme back here, and yet look how far price has travelled. So RSI reaching overbought doesn't mean the upward movement has to end, because pretty clearly it hasn't. Okay, I'm going to end that here because I think that's enough for today, and I'll try and give you another video next week to update some cryptocurrencies. I'm going to do Riot, which is not a cryptocurrency, but I'm going to do Riot for a member. And apart from that, next week I think I'll have a look at Bitcoin. I think I want to look at the ones I've bought. I just want to update those charts. So Bitcoin, Monero, Ripple, Dash, can't remember, there's another 2 or 3 little ones in there. And okay, finally, I'm going to ask for your help. This is what I want to see. I'm going to ask if you can come across any cryptocurrency charts that, let's see, has Monero done it? Yeah, okay, Monero is a good example. This is what I want. Okay, so remember I explained at the very beginning of this video the basic Elliott wave structure, and one of those basic rules. You've got wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you can buy within wave 1 price territory, if you can identify, I've identified for these guys, first of all, they have the ability to form a bubble. That's important. Bubbles are fractal. When a market forms a bubble, like tulips or Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency or the dot-com bubble up to 2000, when markets form bubbles, it's fractal. They don't just form one big bubble and then suddenly burst and disappear. Even tulips on the way up to that market did eventually never achieve those previous highs. It did eventually have a final crash, but along the way up it had a bubble and a huge inflation of price beyond intrinsic value, and then a crash in price, so over a 70, 80, 90% devaluation in the price. And then again it forms an even larger bubble, even higher price points are reached, and then again it crashes. This is what I mean. Bubble, crash, 94% devaluation. It's from $31.91, and here it gets up to $1,241, a huge increase in price, and then a big crash, 91% of value, and that does it again, a huge increase in price, and then another crash. and it's fractal. This is one huge bubble made up of 1, 2, 3 smaller bubbles, and we're on the way up to another huge bubble made of smaller bubbles. Okay, so you identify a market that can form a bubble, understand bubbles are fractal, and then what you want to do is identify two things: a market that can form a bubble and the early stages of the next bubble inflation. And this is a good example. Monero's in that stage. It hasn't made a new high beyond this high back in January 2018. So this is still wave 1 price territory. If you can buy something within wave 1 price territory, like I said at the beginning, you can hold it throughout 3, 4 and 5, and then you get wave 5, and at no point through holding it do you see your investment lose. It will always be positive. So that's what I'm looking for. Cryptocurrencies like this one that have still got their price below that point and exhibit this previous bubble formation. So if you can tell me if you can find any of those, that would save me hours of searching through very boring charts and give me some suggestions for what to look at next week. I'll take a look and tell you if I think there's enough strength in those markets from technical indicators and volume for me to consider potentially buying some of that. So I'll help you out and you can help me out. That's all for this week, and let's all make lots of money together.